All right, welcome to today's episode of Agile. It's not Agile for Humans Day. It's your daily Scrum Day. I'm just all tongue-tied from the last one and messing these up now, Todd.
And the music.
And the music, that's got to go away. It's hard being a producer and a co-host, right? All right, welcome to today's Your Daily Scrum. I'm professional Scrum trainer Ryan Ripley. This guy over there, somewhere there is professional Scrum trainer Todd Miller. Watch it, buddy.
Yeah.
Look, we do this show every day to help level up your knowledge of Scrum. You know, we take your questions, answer them in ways that we hope is helpful. You know, we leverage our experience, our book, Fixing Your Scrum, and other things we've seen to help answer the questions that are important to you. And so today we have another viewer question, Todd. They just keep coming and we love it. Down in the comment section below, leave us your questions. It will likely end up as a future video. And so that helps us out as well. So please leave your comments. Today's question, another listener viewer question: how does a Scrum team handle interruptions? What do you think there, Mr. Miller?
That's a good question. I think this is something that a lot of teams are dealing with, interruptions. I've got a couple thoughts on this. I think that the first thought to think of is not to think so short term, right? Interruptions are part of work, right? As part of the world of complex work. But ultimately, we want to know where are they coming from? Where are these interruptions coming from? That's a multifaceted thing to ask, right? It could be who are they coming from, why are they coming? But my thing that I want to drill in there is like, where are they coming from? Because long term, if they're coming from the same corner of the product, it might be worth investigating whether you have some debt in there that you need to be paying back, right? Because these short term, like put these fire out type of things, oftentimes you're better to kind of look long term and try to make sure that the fire stop coming. What do you think of that, Ryan, as a first kind of thought?
Well, if you want the building to stop burning, you got to put out the fire, right?
Yeah.
And so get to the root of the technical debt as quickly as possible, right? I think this is some great advice. You know, when we talk about interruptions, we're really talking about that work that was unplanned, that work that comes flying into your sprint backlog, and you're like, wait, we didn't even know this was going to happen. It's that unplanned stuff. And a lot of that is tech debt. A lot of that is support stuff. A lot of that is production issues. And I think where Todd's going with this is, what if we could pause and what if we could evaluate those things? And what if there was a way to permanently end them, right? To make sure they don't happen again. And so it's that short-term gain versus long-term impact. And that's gonna improve over time, right? And so that's not going to get fixed overnight. And so teams will ask, well, in the meantime, you know, we're going to address the tech debt. We're going to take some time. We're going to work with our product owner. We're going to get them on board with getting rid of these issues permanently so that they can get a lot of their capacity back. You know, how do we make this visible? How do we make this transparent? How do we make sure that everyone understands the impact of this interrupt work? And Todd, the cleanest way that I've seen to do this is to really just hold back capacity in a sprint backlog. Right? During sprint planning, we're going to put it up on a wall. We're going to put it in Mural. We're going to, whatever visualization tool or practice we're using, we're going to take 30, 40, 50%, whatever it is that we've seen over time that we're using empiricism to measure and say, this is grayed out. You can't have this capacity because all this interrupt work keeps coming in. And that usually causes a stir. It causes a commotion, right? The proctor is like, wait a minute, I'm investing in this. Where did my capacity go? Now we can have that conversation about, let's get to the root of the tech debt. Let's get back this capacity that you're losing each and every sprint, because our capacity is finite. We can't just plan at 100% of new features and have 30% of the equivalent of our sprint backlog come flying at us every sprint in debt, right? It just does not work. We end up back in my 20s when I would put my debit card in the machine and pray a 20 would come out, you end up with some overdraft, right? You end up in the red.
I remember that.
How many times have we seen teams get bankrupted over this?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I think also something to take into consideration, and that I think this bankrupts teams too, is do you really need to be interrupted right now? Like, is it really something that needs to be addressed right now? And now I am not in favor of saying production's down, but we have a sprint planned. That's ridiculous, right?
Yep.
But if it's like this little tiny thing because maybe a really important person asked for it, you can end up in death by 1,000 cuts. So you say no, right? You can say no. Is it really worth an interruption? Maybe that's something for you to talk about in your next sprint retrospective. Is how do we know whether it's worth an interruption or not? My guess is that's a Scrum team conversation, right? That your product owner is going to know whether it's worth an interruption or not. But let's be honest, Ryan, how many are really worth it?
Well, and I think this is where a sprint goal really helps us out.
Yes.
We look back at the sprint goal and we say, look, we can fix this interruption, but it puts the sprint goal at risk. Is it worth it? Yeah. And we need to ask those questions over and over and over again and include the product owner. Maybe pull some stakeholders in. Maybe we need to get a ruling on this, right? Ruling on the field. Someone's thrown the challenge flag. The sprint goal is more important, and see where you get. But these are the considerations we need to have. A lot of this is short-term gain versus long-term impact. Interrupt work messes up your cycle time, messes up your throughput, causes a lot of weird things in your systems of work. Make sure you're doing the right things for the right reason. Check in against your sprint goal. But I ultimately, Todd, getting to the root of tech debt. Mm-hmm. All the things we talked about are kind of band-aids and mitigations and visualization steps. Actually addressing tech debt, addressing poor architecture, addressing the deficiencies in our product that are causing these issues. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, most of the time that's it. Most of the time that's really at the root of it. Most of the time it has to deal with the fact that you have put or lived in a mess for a while and it's just continued to build. And now it's, you're at a point where it's difficult to really manage putting new things into the system. So deal with it. So yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. So how are all of you below? Let us know. How are all of you handling interruption type work, right? When new work comes in, when support issues come in, what are your schemes and methods and practices that have helped you cope with the complexity and the uncertainty behind work? And what are some of the things that have helped your teams work through this situation? Because we know you're all having it. So share below. Let us know what's worked for you. And if you have questions about this, if we've stirred something up and you want to know more, leave us a question. As you can see, all of your questions are turning into videos. So we're more than happy to take your questions. And it could end up as a future episode of Your Daily Scrum. And so, Todd, I think that's it for today's episode. Let's make sure that everyone can see the socials and they can hit that like and subscribe button so they know when we publish future episodes, but be sure to do that. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope past episodes are helping. We're certainly seeing a lot of sharing and we're hearing a lot from a lot of teams that are, we watched a video over Zoom today over lunch. Yeah, just enjoy your lunch. We hope the video helped though. But yeah, for Mr. Miller, Todd Champagne Miller.
That's right. Champagne's out.
I'm professional Scrum trader Ryan Ripley, and we will see you tomorrow.